I am in a totally different part of the library that you have never seen, which is upstairs, and I had to travel to get here. But the longest trip I've ever taken is to Australia, and I'm not sure if your wording's backwards, but this says Australia here, and it's another continent. It's also a country, but to get there, you either go on a very long flight. The way I went was across the United States to Los Angeles and then around the world across the Pacific Ocean, and I landed in Sydney. But then from Sydney, which is a big city on the east coast of Australia, I flew across the country to another big city called Perth, which is near the west coast of Australia. And so today you're going to see some videos that I took in the Perth area and that my son-in-law Adam also took in the Perth area. And the ones I took were in 2017. The ones Adam took, he took yesterday. So they're very, very recent. And if you watch them, you'll see that there's a difference between the seasons. Right now we're in Kentucky. It is very lush. Everything is green, and the skies are very blue, and their days are very long. Well, Australia, it's winter. They are on the opposite side of the world, so they have opposite seasons than we do. And there, it's not as cold as it gets here in winter, but if you'll notice, there aren't that many leaves, and the sky is sort of a blue-gray, I noticed, and the light is different, because how the sun is hitting the earth is different in Australia than where it is here in the United States. One of my favorite Australian authors is this one, Mem Fox, and this book is called Possum Magic. And the pictures were illustrated by Julie Vivas. And this is published by Voyager Books for Harcourt, used with their permission. Once upon a time, but not very long ago, deep in the Australian bush lived two possums. Their names were Hush and Grandma Poss. Grandma Poss made bush magic. She made wombats blue and kookaburras pink. She made dingoes smile and emus shrink. But her best magic of all, and these are the possums, this is a wombat, these are kookaburras, and this is a dingo, and there's the emu, was the magic that made Hush invisible. What adventures Hush had! Because she couldn't be seen, she could be squashed by koalas. See, he's sitting on her tail. Because she couldn't be seen, she could slide down kangaroos. Going down the tail. Because she couldn't be seen, she was safe from snakes, which is why Grandma Poss had made her invisible in the first place. And 7 out of the 10 of the world's most venomous snakes live in Australia. So a good reason to avoid snakes there. But one day, quite unexpectedly, Hush said, "Grandma, I want to know what I look like. Please, could you make me visible again?" "Oh, of course I can," said Grandma Poss. And she began to look through her magic books. She looked into this book, and she looked into that. There was magic for thin, and magic for fat, magic for tall, and magic for small. But the magic she was looking for wasn't there at all. Grandma Poss looked miserable. "Oh, don't worry, Grandma," said Hush. "I don't mind." But in her heart of hearts, she did. All night long, Grandma Poss thought and thought. The next morning, just before breakfast, she shouted, "It's something to do with food! People food, not possum food, but I can't remember what. Well, we'll just have to try and find it." So later that day, they left the bush where they'd always been to find out what it was that could make Hush seen. They ate Anzac biscuits in Adelaide, Mornay and Minties in Melbourne, steak and salad in Sydney, and pumpkin scones in Brisbane. Hush remained invisible. "Oh, don't lose heart," said Grandma Poss. "Let's see what we can find in Darwin." It was there, in the far north of Australia, that they found a Vegemite sandwich. Grandma Poss crossed her claws and crossed her feet, and Hush breathed deeply and began to eat. "A tail! A tail!" shouted both possums at once, for there it was, a brand new, visible tail. Later on a beach in Perth, they ate a piece of pavlova. Hush's legs appeared. So did her body. "You look wonderful, you precious possum," said Grandma Poss. "Next stop, Tasmania." And over the sea they went. In Hobart, late one night, in the kitchens of a casino, they saw a lamington on a plate. Hush closed her eyes and nibbled. Grandma Poss held her breath and waited. "It's worked! It's worked!" she cried. And she was right. Hush could be seen from her head to her tail. Grandma Poss hugged Hush, and they both danced "Here We Go Round the Lamington Plate" till early in the morning. From that time onward, Hush was visible, but once a year, on her birthday, she and Grandma Poss ate a Vegemite sandwich, a piece of pavlova, and half a lamington, just to make sure that Hush stayed visible forever. And she did. And on this picture, you can see where she went, all the way around the continent. Up here is where Darwin is. And this is Brisbane and Sydney, which is where I landed when I went to Australia, and Melbourne and Adelaide. Across the sea, down here on this island, is Hobart in Tasmania. And all the way over there is Perth. Now, I've had both pavlova and lamington, and they're both good. So, but I don't think I'd want to be invisible for a very, very long time. Now, like I said, Hush and Mama Poss were both possums. In Australia, they have possums that are very cute that look sort of like walking teddy bears. They also have lots of kangaroos and platypi and koalas and emus. They have more marsupials than any other place on Earth. But they also have many people. About 3 million people live in Australia. And they have lots of reptiles and birds. And it's an amazing place, but it takes a very long time to get there. It took 32 hours for me to travel to Australia. So if you want to go, you have to build up your endurance. But since you probably can't fly to Australia right now, we're going to show some videos that were taken there. And they don't have a continuous narrative or like one story that's being told like the ones we did at the train station. So you can watch them and you'll get little bits of what it's like there. And I hope that you enjoy them. Alright, so you can check out other books by Mim Fox or other books about Australia here from the library. And you can come in now, or you can also pick things up curbside. So I hope to see you here soon. And cheers. Have a good day. It's Stella Luna and her family. These are gray-headed flying foxes. And they're waking up. There's some more over there. And another sleeping one there. You can see they have pretty big back wings. Waterfall under a gum tree, red gum tree. This is the top of the waterfall. We're going to go look at the lower part in a second. There it is, Indian Ocean. You see a ship way out there. Little children here. Oh, and it is cold.
Hello, Mama. What you doing? Hello. Hello. Do you want pats today? Of course you do. Good girl. How's the baby going? Way too big for Mama's pouch now, aren't you? And these birds here are called cormorants. But we call them shags as a nickname.
Handle is actually usually on the top here that I've seen anyway. And so I will activate it and we can see which way the water goes. So you'll have to judge for yourself, go to your own toilet and see if the water goes a different way.